Every time you pull up to the pump and watch those numbers climb, every time you wince at the cost of filling your tank, a quiet, massive transfer of wealth is happening right under your nose. When the price of crude oil skyrockets, it feels like the whole world is losing. Inflation spikes, groceries get expensive, flights cost a fortune. But the truth is, the global economy is a zero-sum game. You're paying at the pump, it's buying someone else a third super yacht. Before we follow the money, let's understand the fire. The Middle East sits on top of nearly half the world's proven oil reserves, and it connects the rest of the world to those reserves through one of the most critical choke points on the planet, the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow strip of water, barely 33 kilometers at its tightest point, carries roughly 20 million barrels of oil every single day. That's around 20% of global petroleum consumption, passing through a corridor you could swim across. Let's start with the most obvious winners, the companies that pull oil out of the ground. We're talking about ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, BP, and France's Total Energies, a handful of corporations whose balance sheets are larger than the economies of most countries. Let's rewind to 2020. The world is reopening from a pandemic. Supply chains are a mess, and geopolitics are exploding. Oil shoots past $100, then $120 a barrel. Here is the dirty little secret of the oil industry. Their cost to pull a barrel of oil out of the ground, known as the break-even price, doesn't magically go up just because the global price of oil does. For a massive company like ExxonMobil or Saudi Aramco, it might cost them, say, $30 to extract and process a barrel of oil. If oil sells for $50, they make a $20 profit. Not bad. But if a geopolitical crisis pushes oil to $120, their cost to pull it out of the ground is still roughly $30. That extra $70 isn't just revenue, it is almost pure, unadulterated profit. This is why, in 2020, the top 5 Western oil companies, Exxon, Chevron, Shell, BP, and Total Energies, pulled in a combined $200 billion in profit. But even they look like small-timers compared to the true giants, the petrostates. In 2022, Saudi Aramco, the state-owned oil company of Saudi Arabia, reported a net profit of $161 billion. That is the highest annual profit ever recorded by any company in the history of capitalism. It dwarfed Apple. It dwarfed Google. So where does that money go? It goes into sovereign wealth funds. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Norway use these windfalls to buy up the rest of the world. They buy massive stakes in tech companies, they buy European soccer teams, and they build trillion-dollar futuristic megacities in the desert. When you pay $5 for a gallon of gas, a fraction of a penny of that might literally be funding a professional athlete's multi-million-dollar contract halfway across the world. Big oil and petrostates make money because they own the oil. But what if I told you that some of the biggest winners don't own a single oil well? Enter the commodity traders. These are the shadowy middlemen of the global economy. Companies like Vitol, Trafigura, and Glencore. Most people have never even heard of them, but they control the flow of the world's resources. Commodity traders buy oil in one place, put it on a boat, and sell it in another. Usually they make a few cents per barrel. It's a volume game. But when oil gets expensive, something else usually happens. The market gets volatile. Prices swing wildly from day to day, and supply chains break down. To a commodity trader, chaos is a ladder. Imagine an energy crisis hits Europe, but there's a surplus of oil in the US Gulf Coast. The price in Europe might suddenly spike to $130 a barrel, while it sits at $100 in the US. A company like Vitol will buy millions of barrels in the US, charter ships, and sell them in Europe. They capture that massive $30 spread, minus shipping costs. Because these companies are private, they don't have to answer to public shareholders. In 2022, Vitol made a staggering $15 billion in profit. The company is owned by about 450 of its top employees. That means, on average, the partners at Vitol took home tens of millions of dollars each in a single year. Expensive oil doesn't just change the corporate world, it redraws the map of global power. And in the 21st century, one of the biggest winners of an oil crisis is actually the United States. In fact, the US government played the ultimate financial trade in 2022. They released millions of barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve when prices were over $100 to cool down the market. Then, they slowly started buying it back months later when prices dropped to the 70s. The US government essentially day-traded oil and made billions of dollars for the taxpayer. When the Middle East goes up in flames and Gulf oil is disrupted, every other oil-producing country that is not in the conflict zone quietly wins. Canada. Alberta's oil sands have suddenly become extremely competitive. Canadian producers have relatively low operating costs, meaning high prices translate almost entirely into profit. Companies like Canadian Natural Resources and Suncor see their stock prices explode. Norway. The Scandinavian nation with one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds, already valued at over $1.7 trillion, benefits enormously from elevated oil prices. The Norwegian government channels those profits into a fund designed to pay for its citizens' pensions and public services forever. And then there's Russia. Despite Western sanctions following the Ukraine invasion, Russia continues to sell oil to China, India, and other nations, often at a discount, but still profitable when global prices are high. Every time tension flares in the Middle East and the global price rises, Russia's discount matters less. The sanctions bite less. The war chest refills. But if all of these massive entities are winning, who is actually losing? It's the developing nations that rely on imported fuel just to keep their lights on. It's the farmers whose fertilizer costs, which are derived from fossil fuels, skyrocket, forcing food prices up globally. And of course, it's the middle and working classes worldwide who spend a disproportionate amount of their income just getting to work and heating up their homes. So the next time you see oil prices surging in the news, look past the pump. Look at the supertankers idling in the ocean. Look at the sovereign wealth funds buying up global assets. The global economy is an incredibly complex machine, and oil is its lifeblood. When the pressure in that system rises, the wealth doesn't just evaporate. It flows upward, into the hands of those who are positioned to catch it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.